Hello and welcome to episode 52 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte Epps, joined by my best friend, my ace, my dog, my guy, Dane Beasley. Dane, how are you doing this afternoon, evening, my guy?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Just got this. Look, my first day back at work in like 2 weeks because of our little break that we had. So
Mm-hmm.
this feels like a normal day because we're recording and two just got off of work. Well, not got off of work,
Yeah,
but a few hours ago got off of work. So
yeah,
yeah, it feels good, man. How about you? How are things in
we're
the
good.
Epps land?
We are good, man. We finally built our pergola, our
Oh,
little
nice.
canopy.
Little
Yeah,
gazebo,
we
right?
did. Yeah, basically a gazebo, but basically, man, it was we did it at night.
Okay.
Had all our lights out there so we wouldn't have to deal
Really?
with the sun and stuff like that. So it took about 2 hours, but not too bad.
Not
Mission
too bad.
accomplished. Although it did rain a lot today, so now like the canopy part is like it was full of
Drenched.
rain, so it's like
Yeah.
had to shake the rain out of it. But other than that, things are good, man. But happy to be back recording episode 52. Want to say thank you to Jay Billis once again for hopping on with this last episode to talk
Huge,
all
huge,
things
huge.
NIL, man. We've got good feedback from that. Appreciate Jay again for coming on with us. And want you to
Appreciate you, Jay.
know you can come and review, rate our podcast on Apple, 5 stars as always. And as Bomani Jones said, if you don't give us 5 stars, I am inclined to believe you are a hater. I love when he says that. I love when he says that. But
He had me
also,
scared. He had me scared because he was gone for a whole minute, and then
yeah,
I
he's
got
on
the notification.
vacation, right?
Yeah, he was on vacation,
Yeah.
and I was like, when I listened to the podcast from Wednesday, I was like, please tell me I didn't miss anything. Please listen. And he was like, all right, man, welcome back. I mean, glad to be back. Took a little hiatus. I was like, oh, thank you. I thought something
Yeah.
was wrong with my podcast app. I was like, man, what did I do? Like, so,
Yeah.
but it was
I
cool.
gotta
He's
catch
good.
up. I gotta
Yeah,
catch
he's
up on
good.
his.
It's good. The
Um,
Wednesday one is good. I haven't listened to Friday yet, but Wednesday's good.
yeah. Big shout out to Blue Wire Hustle as well. We are a Blue Wire Hustle podcast. And man, episode 52, Dane, it feels good to be back recording.
Yeah.
And first things first, man, NBA Finals. I know we talked about it on episode 50, how with, without a LeBron, a big
Mhm.
star, like the usual teams that we always
A
see in there.
reoccurring suspect.
Right, right. I was very happy, that, there's new blood in there. We
Yeah.
have Chris Paul and the Suns, of course. Chris Paul's first trip to the NBA Finals, first 2 games, he went crazy. Suns
Lights
won
out.
both of them, but Giannis last night, and Giannis has been playing, bro. Yeah,
He's been
I'm,
playing
I'm,
well. He's been playing well pretty much. I mean, obviously he could be playing better, but that just speaks to the development of his game. But he hasn't had a bad. Damn, I shouldn't say that.
I don't, but no, this is what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
I know the perfect way to
when we
offset this.
when we saw his injury,
Mm-hmm.
we
That
thought
was
it was a
it.
wrap,
I was like, yeah,
right?
this over with.
Everybody thought it was a wrap, and then for him to what looked like a season-ending injury, come
Right.
back and put up those kind of numbers. The first 2 games he lost, but the last game he put up 41 points. He's put up 40 in the last 2, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, willing his team to win. Of course, with help from his other teammates. Man,
Finally.
Giannis does not. I mean, there's a small group of people that I won't say small, but there's a group of people that like really like Giannis. I know you're a Giannis fan. I
Yeah.
don't hate Giannis, but there's a group that don't really care for his game. The way he like does the HB dive. People say almost every drive. But man, putting up 41 points when I won't say he's on one leg, but when it
Yeah.
looked like his season might be over and extending a part of that's crazy.
Listen, here's the thing. We are going to start seeing more and more and more and more guys with his build, with his God-given build, playing in his style. Of course, the hope is that he continues to develop and he um, advances the repertoire of uh, offensive feats that he can do. Because what we're seeing right now is the same repetitive thing. He a little dribble on, tries a little
Uh-huh.
shake and bake, and goes to the paint, score within 10 feet of the bucket. But that's been a turnoff for a lot of people, but no one has seemed to stop it yet. So my thing is,
If it ain't
why
broke.
stop? Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, I mean, so what? Like we've given other athletes the opportunity, or other basketball players the opportunity to progress and sharpen their game and add additional tools to their weaponry. And I think it's high time that we do the same thing for this guy. I mean, of course, it's not the most fantastic thing watching in the finals right now, but 40 points in back to back games is impressive. I don't care what
Yeah.
position you play. So
Right.
we'll
And
see.
like the willingness, the will to win. Like, I mean, obviously all players are gonna have that mentality in the NBA
Yeah.
finals game, but I feel like with Giannis, like you just gotta respect it, whether you like the way he plays or not. But just I just keep going back to that knee injury where I'm like, man, it's a wrap, you know.
Yeah.
And to see him bounce back has been incredible. Now I still have the Suns winning this in 7 games, but I would
Yeah.
not
I
be
would love for
mad.
Chris Paul to get a ring.
Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't be mad if the Bucks won it. Like, I think it goes back to what we were saying. Like, I mean, the Bucks won one like in 1974 with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson, but it's been years, obviously, and the Suns have never
Right.
won one. So either way it goes on that end, I feel like it's a win for the NBA for sure. Having, and I think we talked about this too, having a new
Mhm.
team
New
sport that
blood.
crown.
We're gonna get, regardless of how you feel about either one of these teams, we're gonna get two amazing games. Those the other three games, call them what you want, but these next two games, the next
Yeah.
two games, we're gonna see some amazing stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Um, what I've been loving the most is this Devin Booker, this Devin Booker slander. I love it. He, he
I
look
think I know why.
what why
I feel
why
like because every time he touches the ball, announcers are saying something about his comparison to Kobe.
yeah, which I listen listen until we see this man with 5 seconds on the shot clock and three other of his teammates open, see him drive into the paint, pivot off 1 foot and fade away with 8 defenders in his face.
Yeah.
Let's kill all of it. Let him be the next Devin
I,
Booker. Let's stop
right.
comparing
And I think
other players for the sake of doing it because it's a tired and
he
silly argument.
the first 2 games he put up like he
He was
scored like
balling.
20. He was, but like he was taking a lot of shots, but it
Yeah,
was like his percentage wasn't as good. And then last game he dropped like maybe 10 points, I think.
yeah.
It was like, so maybe it'll calm down some of
And
that notion.
a lot of people were pissed off about it, or not pissed off, but just like very critical of his games. Like when he's not, when the ball isn't dropping through the bottom of the net for him, what does he bring to the table offensively? And you'd be hard pressed to say outside of seeing the court, making sure. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Aside from seeing the court and making sure he's opening up the floor for his teammates, I mean, there's not really much you can get from him on the
Yeah,
offensive side of the ball if the shot isn't falling. But it's
right.
been it's been a circus, of
He's a
course.
pretty decent defender,
Oh
but
hell
yeah,
yeah!
I mean, obviously his offensive game is what
And that's what
what
drive.
he's known for.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's going to drive people to continue to not only love him but just
Yeah,
embrace him as a player, especially if you're somehow one of the 8 Phoenix Suns fans in the world. So
yeah. One of I do know a few, but
I don't know
Game
any.
4 is on Wednesday, and it
Mhm.
seems like, and I feel like I was talking to my brother about this yesterday. I feel like this series is going to be the winner of this series is going to be the one to take one on the road because obviously both teams are
Mm.
very strong at home, like
Yeah,
completely different teams at home than they are on the road. I feel like Milwaukee even more so. Like they
backs
obviously look
against the
at like
wall.
yeah, and yeah, they've been down 2-0 before in the playoffs. And so playing at home, Middleton plays extremely better. Drew Holiday as well. Giannis is gonna be Giannis regardless. But
True.
I think they take game 4 because I think they're gonna build off the momentum from game 3, playing in Milwaukee, all the hype going around, and
Hmm.
I feel like Giannis and those guys will take game 4 and even it up. I think whoever is the first team to take one, well, obviously, if it goes 7, the Suns can win all of them at home because
Yeah.
they have the most home games.
All right.
But I really
Statistically
think,
speaking.
yeah, I really think if Milwaukee or whoever steals one at home, it's a wrap. What do you
Okay.
think?
I want to see what Vegas has to say. Have they posted? They
I don't
posted any
know the
odds yet?
line.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sure they have. I haven't looked it up though.
okay. I'm trying to stay away from it until like basically essentially the day before, maybe even a few hours before the game, just so I can not hype myself up for what could possibly happen. Versus, I want to see what the professionals see how the NBA is gonna. I mean, see how the gambling world is going to fix this game, or
Yeah.
how they're trying to dress this up. Um, so I know it's a little bit off topic. No, I don't. No, no, never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do your thing.
No, I was gonna say you before we do every podcast, we prepare our notes and put little notes in there about what we're going to talk about. And you made me laugh so hard. You put in the picture of Cam Johnson getting dunked on or
Bro,
dunking on PJ Tucker.
yeah,
Bro,
PJ.
first reaction, that was insane. He tried to take the charge, but
Yeah, just
nobody.
the still itself looks like his. He looks like those little blow up things in front of those buildings where they trying to sell like a whole bunch of mattresses or something, and they be like, what? That's what he looked like in the picture when he getting dunked on.
Them little,
Yeah, them little them inflatable
yeah,
dudes,
yeah.
them inflatable
They
stick
always
man.
be going
Yeah,
every which way.
that's what he looks like, unfortunately. But I don't know what was going through this man's mind. Um, but he will forever, regardless of how this series ends, he will forever be remembered in that fashion. Unfortunately, it's just at home too,
Yeah.
bro. Like,
It's one of those things. I feel like if PJ Tucker would have got there shea earlier, it might have been a charge, but it's
I mean,
never it's
still
never
but
it's
here's the
never
thing.
good getting put on a poster.
No, heck no, because 15 years from now, nobody's. Oh, 15 years from now, it'd be hard to say how the outcome of that possession would have went. Some people might have remembered it as, of course, he got the charge. Some people might have remembered it as, oh, he missed the dunk. But as of right now, in this present, on the 12th of July, we're going to remember that as him getting absolutely
Oh,
demolished on live
most
TV.
definitely.
Unfortunately.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Game 4 on Wednesday, Phoenix up 2-1, game 4 in Milwaukee. So we'll come back next episode and keep you updated on that. Staying in the world of basketball, Dane, we are less than 2 weeks away from the Olympics. And, in the basketball world internationally, for the most part, NBA or USA has dominated.
Hmm.
But there was an exhibition match that happened between Team USA and Nigeria, and those guys from Nigeria were not playing, man. They beat Team USA 90-87. The Team USA squad did not look ready. They did not look inspired. And I
Sluggish, if you
put
will.
in our notes, Precious Achua, he swatted Kevin Durant at the basket, and he literally posted on his Instagram the picture of him swatting KD, and it
You're
said,
not
"You're
that
not
guy.
that guy, pal. Trust
You're not.
me,
You're
you're
not
not
that guy.
that guy."
You're not that guy.
Saying that to a two-time champion, KD, one of the best scorers in the league. That
And
and it, for exhibition match, I'm like,
people
because
can say what they
you can
want.
see them boys again,
Yeah, people can say what they want about, oh, they're not taking it serious enough. But there's a sense of pride when there's a sense of pride when you put on that USA team jersey, and it's just
right?
like, I don't know. Maybe they thought they could coast on this one, but clearly everybody knows who's the big bad bully on the block, and the Americans just got knocked off. I mean, call it
Right.
what you want. We know it's an exhibition game. It means little to nothing, but at the same time,
Amen. Amen.
that's just me.
I was watching it like on my phone as we were putting up the pergola, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, these boys are letting Nigeria hang around, and it wasn't really a hang around. I'll go into that because Nigeria hit 23s, like
Yeah,
23s, and then
splashing.
today, as we're recording today,
It'd be France,
they
right?
knocked off Argentina.
No, not
Nigeria
France.
beat Argentina. So I mean, these guys ain't going anywhere, and I feel like USA is gonna have to see them again at some point. But as you said, it is exhibition, but I mean, there is added pressure when you put on that Team USA uniform and you got a basketball in your hand.
We talked about it a few podcasts ago that the lineup, the Olympic lineup, it wasn't like it
Yeah,
didn't give you that oomph. When you looked at the names, it's like, there wasn't the I don't know. We have a collection of players that we're all aware of. We know about Dane, we know about your KDs, but we didn't have that bona fide generation. Well, not bona fide generational guy. We didn't have that bona fide guy that we can know. Okay, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be okay. Especially given what happened with the Nets. How they got kicked out of the playoffs. Granted, of course,
yeah,
KD couldn't do it by himself, but at the same time, he's the quote unquote next guy up, and of course, he's gonna face harsh criticism just as much as any other
yeah.
team. Especially when you think
Facts.
about when you talk about Olympic basketball and what's at stake and the reputation that the Americans have. I don't want to go. I don't want to go there, especially with it being just an exhibition game. But it doesn't. It doesn't settle my fears. That it kind of reminds me of the 2004 season, um,
Mm-hmm.
when we with Spain and
Well, yeah.
was it
The
Lithuania?
good news, if you could take anything good out of this situation, one, it's an exhibition game. Doesn't count. It
Okay.
Two, you got time to get it together. But it's definitely an embarrassment. But at the same time, if I see like Nigeria, if they won again today against Argentina, and Argentina is not a pushover. They're always in
Yeah.
it towards the end too. So you can give Nigeria credit for sure, but at the same time, that's Team USA, man. Like you said, reputation. You got the best players in the world on the squad. There's no excuse to lose that game.
Yeah.
But they'll bounce back. I think they play Australia on Wednesday, so we'll keep a touch on how they
Mm,
do after that.
mm.
Dane, you sent me this next story, and literally as you sent me this one, I had just read it, like the entire article, cover to cover, the world of college football, where we were talking about NIL last week. We are talking about something that happened
2 years
that is
ago.
so insane. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
2019.
And it feels like because 2020 was one of the longest years of all time. It just feels like such a. It feels like it's much longer. 2019 was much longer ago than what it is. I know it's just
Right.
2 years ago, but still, it just feels like a very long time ago. Long story short, we have coach, former, well, a coach by the name of Les Miles. Some of you might know about him of the Jayhawks, and apparently, allegedly, there were a number of football players on the team that were reads notes street manufacturing, selling narcotica. They were
Mm-hmm.
selling some sort of drug. One of the teammates caught wind of it, and whether or not he approached the team members or approached the quote unquote drug dealers is a little foggy, a little murky. But some words were exchanged, and from there was beef. The football players would then. There are a number of times where they had altercations with this particular player, whether it's in practice, before practice, or after practice, or even in the dude's bedroom where they showed up, basically,
That
trying
part
to
was insane, man.
yeah, it's like a scene out of The Wire or something. They showed up at the man's house to intimidate him. It was like, and his girl, I mean, ex girlfriend, of course, his ex girlfriend was there too. I'm like, man, like, but essentially, Les Miles swept some stuff, or not. I can't even say pin this all on Les Miles. This is if the allegations are true, then the entire athletics department,
Top to bottom.
yeah, all the way from whoever the team, because every team has one, a team handler, the team handler that didn't take care of it, the coaching staff, whoever's in charge of um, disciplinary disciplinary actions and things like that, keeping the players in check. From that standpoint, the athletic directors, even you might even say some of the members of the campus cabinet might have some dirt on them for this, but essentially the young man was paid off to stay away and of course leave the campus and to go on about his life and
And not
forget
say
about
anything about
and
it.
not say anything about it. But somehow we got a story about it, a really long story. It took about 10 to 15 minutes to read, so it's, if you haven't already, take a look at that. I'm sure we'll have a link somewhere, but take a look at that article, read it for
Yeah.
yourself. It's pretty in depth. Of course, it's only one side because a number of the players declined to give their side or speak with the reporting team that wrote this piece. But I mean, there has to be some sort of
Yeah.
truth to it. Not sure how much, but it's something straight out of a movie.
Yeah.
It's straight out of a
That's a
movie.
fact. And the player that was supposedly paid off, his name was Caperton Humphrey from
Hmm.
West Virginia. He transferred to Kansas a year after playing at Eastern Kentucky, I believe. But
Hmm.
basically, everything Dane said is what was said in the article as far as him transferring there. He started a few games his first year there. Got into it with some teammates and about you saw them supposedly selling drugs, and ever since that altercation that they had in practice,
Hmm.
it's been a long thing where he is essentially getting bullied.
Yeah.
From what the article is saying, he's getting bullied by four players on the defensive side of the ball who, according to the article, played a lot of time under Les Miles. So
Hmm.
um It's just unfortunate, man, especially with everything in Title IX and everything that's going on with cases all over the country being swept under the rug. You know, every now and then we'll get a report about something that happened a few years ago where a coach or an administrator has turned a blind eye. And it's like,
Yeah,
man, you would think people would have, I mean,
some integrity.
integrity, some compassion for these types of situations. So, like, for this one, for example, instead of Les Miles and the administration giving discipline to these four or however many players, they didn't. They decided to, okay, we got to keep this on the hush hush. Let's pay this guy, do whatever it takes for him to not say anything about it. And for a program like Kansas, where, I mean, in football, you're already like the bottom of the bottom in the Big 12. Basketball, you are currently battling allegations in the basketball program. And the basketball program is one of the top programs in the
Yeah,
country. And this is just not good. And it seems like because some of the players, or excuse me, some of the administration as mentioned in this article is still a part of the staff, and they've already hired or a part of the process hiring a new athletic director, a new coach. So I'm sure, obviously, I don't think this is going to be the end, and
yeah,
we'll see more about this story in the future because people that are mentioned in this article are still part of the organization or
yeah.
the athletic department. So
And
it's unfortunate, and believe it or not, I don't think we'll see the last of these kinds of stories. Unfortunately, with stuff coming out, it's just a sad situation, man.
yeah, but there has to be some truth to it because, of course, in a situation like this, no pun intended, where there is smoke, there usually is fire.
Yep,
Back to you, Deonte.
yep. And with that note,
What's that sound?
nerdy news segment brought to you by nobody except Keith for that beautiful music that he provides with us or
Shout
for
out
us.
to Keith one time.
Black Widow. Black Widow. Black Widow. It has been 2 years since Marvel movies, Dane. A little over
Was it
a year.
two or
Spider-Man,
three?
right? When did Spider-Man come out?
Far from home. Wait, hold on. I'm drawing a blank here. I should remember because I went. This is
It
actually the
came
first
out the
Marvel
same
movie.
year as Endgame, and Endgame came out in
Because it
2019.
came
There
out
were
like
no
two
movies in
weeks after, right?
2020.
Say two
I think
weeks
like a
after.
month.
Okay.
Anyway, Black Widow came out July 9th. Marvel Studios returned to the big screen.
In
Directed by
dramatic
Kate
fashion.
Shortland, Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, David Harbour. Movie takes place between the events of Civil War and Infinity War. I wanted to say I did enjoy this movie, Dane.
Mm-hmm.
There were parts of the movie, and I talked about this with Karina, where
Oh,
spoiler
spoiler
alert.
alert.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Spoiler alert. There were parts of the movie where I didn't understand why or how certain things happen, and I'll get to that in a second. But
Okay.
overall, man, I enjoyed the action. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed some of the gaps filled in from previous movies, like the Avengers, where Loki is talking to Black Widow about her Red Ledger,
Murky, red,
yeah, Murky
dirty, filthy
Pass,
past. Yeah.
Dracov's daughter, and we like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what happened with like it filled in those gaps.
Yeah.
Of course, the post-credit scene where we see her sister Yelena Belova meets up with chick from Seinfeld. I can't even remember her real name. But basically going off of her appearance in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
where it looks like it's setting up some sort of team. Could be the Thunderbolts, could be Dark Avengers. We don't know yet. But overall, I would say this movie, as much as we've seen with the Loki show and what we've seen with WandaVision, of course, those are more power magic kind of beings. It was good
Mm-hmm.
to see a grounded type of MCU movie similar to what we saw with Winter Soldier back in the day, the Captain America movies. But I will say it was a good send off for Scarlett Johansson if she doesn't return as Black Widow, which
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like she will, man. But overall, I enjoyed it. I will talk about the gripes in a second, but what'd you think of it?
I like the movie. Me and the wife, we enjoyed it thoroughly. No, we're disappointed because it shouldn't have. She should have gotten this. I mean, I understand the way that Marvel does things, the sequence, but it's been a gripe for me ever since they announced it. She should have been got this movie, and whether or not they were concerned about whether it was going to perform or not, that's irrelevant. You got to take chances on the people that you invest in, and you invested in her, particularly in so many roles in the MCU. With that being said, I'm glad they gave her roses. She had a big hand, not only with, like you said, as an actor in the movie, but she's behind the scenes. She's credited as one of the, if I'm not mistaken, like executive producer or something like that. She had a big role, a big hand in what took place or what was happening in the movie, which is hella respect to her because that's long money. She's gonna get more money from that than she will, being casted in the particular role and playing in the movie itself. But it's just kind of dope, and it speaks to her range as not only as a creator, but also as a human being in this particular MCU. But if I could be real, I like the movie for two things. One, we finally got some more clarity upon Budapest, and with her
Yes.
and Clint have mentioned Budapest a number of times, and it's like, why do they keep bringing this up without like almost like they're teasing us? But it was kind of just a good callback, and it's one thing we got to credit, or I in particular, I credit Marvel a lot for the way that they provide these callbacks and the way that they uh, misdirect with their trailers and movies and such. But to me, that was one of the most impressive things, just finally having that particular part of
Yeah.
the story payoff. Second is just we can see their continuity. We're transitioning from one Black Widow to her successor. Of course, it might take us a while to get there, but we can already see that it is already being put in place. Of course, with the other widows, spoiler alert, of course, again, with the other widows being released from their control and captivity, there's endless possibilities on who could take the realm. And but I think signs are all pointing to her sister. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. Now back to these
One of
gripes
the
years. Oh, my bad. Go ahead, man. Do your thing.
before I get to the gripes, one thing I did enjoy, and I watched Endgame today before we started recording,
Oh,
and it kind of brought everything back into like a full closure moment. Her
okay.
sacrifice, the way she was acting in Endgame, you could kind of like assume like what we saw in Black Widow is her like, all right, I've done this. I already know I have these families that I didn't think I had, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had my purpose here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can sacrifice my life for the greater good kind of thing. And I felt like rewatching Endgame, like if you get a chance, just rewatch, even if it's not the whole thing, just rewatch her scenes, and it kind of like brings it some closure in a
Yeah.
sense.
Especially from
Um,
the guilt that she's been harboring for a long time. Especially they showed it in Black Widow when she assumed that she, of course, she's admitted she's done a lot of, a lot of dirty things, a lot of grimy things in her past. But the one thing that seems like it's been harder the most is possibly killing a little girl. But
yeah.
turns out she didn't actually kill her, and although she was freed from that, she still has the guilt and suffer the consequences of her actions based on the way that person had to live their life under
Hmm.
a severe state of mind control. So it was cool seeing
Yeah.
her come to terms with that. But I think in game, she definitely was at peace with her life because of everything,
Hmm.
the events that transpired from the movie that we just got
Correct.
2 years after she died.
Correct.
Crazy. It's crazy. But,
Um,
and to these
but one of the
gripes.
to the gripes.
To the grapes.
You mentioned one of them, just the placement of the film, and it's not the film's fault. Obviously,
No.
I feel like obviously the film would have served a better purpose if it was either in the spot Captain Marvel was in, which was in between Infinity War and Endgame, or directly after Civil War,
Mm.
chronologically in the story. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it would have gave it more of a, I guess, impact, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, which is not the film's fault.
No.
It's not a critique of the film. It's just the placement of the film. I felt like it would have made it more, gave it more of a impact in the
Oomph.
overall
It's
MCU.
There's one of the
Uh,
critiques. One of the critiques of Marvel of the MCU. If you want to
yeah.
talk about anything Marvel does bad, is it might just be the timing of their releases. That might be it. That just wasn't thought out properly.
The next gripe, it was parts of the film, bro. I know the MCU is the MCU. You're gonna see crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as much as her jump from the sky was from the towards the end, she
Yeah.
landed on her feet, bro. She landed on her feet. It was just different parts. It's like you know what's gonna happen because it's MC. You know she's not
Yeah.
gonna die. You know
Yeah,
she's gonna do
absolutely.
superhero stuff. That just kind of I could get over that. The part that kind of made me feel like, okay, what happened there is towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
The family's all together. They're like, oh, we're family. You know, they're the
Yeah, family.
Scarlet is a Black Widow standing there, and literally the trucks, the Ross and them are coming to get
Mm-hmm.
her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just standing there looking at them come, and then it just cuts and goes from her talking to Mason
Yeah.
with the blonde hair, and I'm like, how did she get out of that situation? Like Ross was literally right there,
Might have been
and
a
then it
deleted
just like
scene. Some
flipped.
some cut from the film, possibly.
I don't know, man. That part just it kind of it wasn't like terrible, but it's just like I didn't see. I wanted to see like, okay, did she get away? Oh, obviously she did, but like how? Like they were literally right there, and it just cuts to her with Mason getting the Quinjet and flying off. But I mean, it was just different parts of the film were just like didn't make sense to me. And then I don't know how I feel about Taskmaster. There were a few scenes, the fight
Mm,
scenes with Taskmaster
they were
were
dope.
dope,
They were dope.
but I don't know if I like who Taskmaster was.
Too
Um,
predictable. Too predictable.
actually, I didn't predict that,
I did.
but
I was like, man, that girl
you
ain't
felt like it
dead.
was her.
Yeah, because if he survived, then surely enough, the little girl could. He could probably will the girl to survive. I just didn't. I didn't know that it was going to be a mind control thing. I
Yeah,
that was the furthest thing from my mind, but I just knew that the girl was going to be. I was like, man, and plus, the one thing that gave away for me, and this is like, it was her the size of her arms. Her arms were skinny, like super skinny. When she
I didn't pay
was,
attention.
when she where I forgot what scene it was, but she walked by the camera. I was like, man, is that Kevin Durant in there in that costume or something? Because the arms are just toothpick like, and I was like, all right. That might be either just a super 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 tiny guy, or is it, it might be a woman. But my suspicions were they kept referencing to the little girl and the mistakes that she made. Okay, yeah, that's definitely her. Then the guilt.
Yeah,
There's no way for her to keep talking about the guilt and for it to just keep going like this and then eventually drop off. It had to be some sort of payoff with them mentioning the guilt and her redeeming herself. And sure enough,
yeah.
you know,
I thought Mason was gonna be Taskmaster, but throughout the film, I'm like, there's no way. Like, how is he here and Taskmaster's there? Like, I just
hmm,
felt like
hmm, hmm,
I think because his character was just like very scarce in the film. Like you only saw him in a few things or few
hmm.
scenes, and so I thought because I have you ever seen that actor before? OT, his name is OT Fagbenle, but he
No,
plays in Handmaid's Tale, which Karina loves. But
okay, no, I haven't seen
I
that.
just felt like he'd have a bigger part because he's like
He's gonna have a bigger
kind
part,
of
is what they're saying.
yeah.
They're teasing at least.
Yeah, so right, and so it just goes back to one of those things where MCU like will lay something there and be like, all right, that's gonna be there. We're sowing the seeds now, but later it's gonna pay off. Like
Mm,
I feel like Taskmaster is gonna come back, but I don't know in what
we'll
capacity.
see. I mean,
I think it's a villain that can come down the line.
so what I've seen, the criticism that I've been reading online about the Taskmaster is just the way that the origin story, the backstory, it wasn't fulfilling enough to a lot of people. And I was like, dude, this is the MCU. Like we've seen plenty of times where
Them
villains come
switch it
back
up.
from reprisal roles. Like there might be another variation of the Taskmaster. We've seen how the Flag Smashers they arose because they were inspired by criminals and inspired
Yeah,
by other hero or anti-heroes. They were inspired by other anti-heroes amongst the world. So there could very well be another person that's been just so breathtaking and so what's the best way I can think of? So captivated by the Taskmaster that they, end up trying to be a copycat. So There's also
Yeah.
a possibility of that, but we can't write off the particular portrayal or the particular origin story of this person until we see the very last of it. And there's no telling when that would be, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
And with them diving, and we'll segue into the next part, them diving into multiverse with the Loki show. Like it could be another whole Taskmaster in another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, MCU has like they with the Loki, and we'll start talking about Loki now. For them to expand and go into the multiverse world, it's like a thing where the possibilities are endless. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can take this character from this timeline, put him here. Like it, they like have a bunch of toys on the floor right now, and they're like, okay, I'm done playing with this one, but I can go get this toy here and place it there. Um, with Loki coming up, the finale coming up on Wednesday, Dane. What I won't ask you what you think is going to happen, but what what are you expecting as far as a finale, like leading into what could be the next few projects for the Marvel?
Misdirection.
Okay.
Misdirection. Um, where we've we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled in the past about what we thought the big bad in WandaVision was going to be. We all thought it was, not all, but a lot of us thought it was Mephisto. And it turned out to not be that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: this is a what 6 episode was it 6 episode project?
Mm-hmm.
6 episode project. I don't think we're gonna get a big reveal like that. Somebody that's, of course, all suspicions and speculation is pointing towards Kang the Conqueror. But if he's supposed to be the next big bad, similar to how Thanos was, and there was 10 years worth of buildup for Thanos, we've got 10 seconds here, 15 seconds here, 5 seconds here, and then boom, he got most of the film, he got most of the screen time in one of the movies. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think it would be a disservice to introduce a character of that magnitude that has so many different tie-ins and so many different storylines associated with him to shoehorn him in a
Mm-hmm.
season finale of a 6-part series. That's not to say that it won't happen, but in my opinion, I just assume it's too good to be true. The
Yeah.
misdirection, the obvious misdirection with his wife being in the show, um, is just too good to be true. I think it'll be just
And
a
all the signs are pointing to Kang,
yeah,
and
and
knowing
it's
the
gonna
MCU
be
is like,
it's gonna be messed around to be a
hey,
variant.
you,
It's gonna be a
you
variant
think
of
it's
Loki.
Kang, but we got this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So
But supposedly, you mentioned how the build up for Thanos took 10 years.
mhm.
So these next few iterations of these villains aren't supposed to take that long. Of course, I thought I read a report from Feige, but I kind of agree with what you're saying about a villain as big as Kang the Conqueror
Mhm.
being introduced so quickly. We know he is coming in
Yeah.
Ant-Man 3,
Oh yeah.
but to put him in here, and plus all the signs pointing to him coming, like
And the thing about it,
Renslayer, all that. Yeah.
the thing about it is, we have so many movies, or so many. We have movies and we have shows that have pointed at the multiverse being a realistic thing. We have a mention of it in Endgame from the Ancient One, showing us the particular timeline and the different branches. We see that same sort of concept appear in Loki with the TVA. We
Mm-hmm.
see, of course, the obvious leaks for the next Spider-Man movie and the multiverse coming up with that. Obviously, the Doctor Strange too. We know that there's going to be a multiverse, mentioned in there. And then, of course, obviously, in Ant-Man, we know that the quantum realm is going to be a big part of that, tying into together the plot for that movie. So I think the build-up for the multiverse has been very evident, in the way that we're going to see it in these different movies is going to be pretty impressive. But to just assume that it's going to be Kang this early, I think is just getting a little too ahead of myself and too excited, overexcited. So I'm going to temper my expectations.
Just temper.
Yeah, I'm just going to assume that it's going to be some variant of Loki. Maybe, what if we got an in-game Loki? The Loki that died is actually not dead. What if that's just him, or maybe some other cast-off form of Immortus or something
Yeah.
like that? I don't
I'm
know.
not putting I'm not putting nothing like down, like any possibility at this point. But overall, man, the show,
Hmm.
I think we talked about this a few episodes ago. Out of the three Marvel or Disney Plus shows from Marvel Studios that has came out so far. Loki
Yeah.
is by far my favorite.
Yeah.
Um,
Told you, bro. Wasn't gonna
everything
let you
we've
down.
seen, yeah, and
Tom
that was
Hiddleston's the GOAT, bro.
no, I agree. I was out of all three shows, I was least excited for this one. So
Shame.
for it to, I know, but I'm like Loki though. Like before, like Tom Hiddleston aside, the character of Loki, we had saw that he died already. So I'm like, what more
How
can
many
they
other times have we
give
seen
us?
this man die?
Well, I
Come
agree.
on, bro. Come
I
on,
agree,
brother.
but
Come
my
on,
gripe
brother.
was like, what more can we see from this character? And obviously, I've been blown away by what they have brought, to the table with this project. I'm definitely excited for the finale. Tempering my expectations for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
you had mentioned the multiverse, Dane,
Mm-hmm.
and what if, which is going to be coming
Oh,
out
I
in
forgot all about
August
that. Ha ha
from Marvel
ha.
Studios, right?
Okay.
And so, if you have not seen the What If trailer, it is an animation project from Marvel Studios that is coming out in August. It'll be the next show, obviously, out for Marvel Studios. But I'm thinking, man, is it going to connect with? It has to connect with the MCU that we know now, even though it's animation.
It's canon, bro. All of it's canon.
Yeah,
It's put it this way. It's the cheapest. I'm not going to say cheapest. It's the most convenient way that they can flesh out stories in such a way that it requires or doesn't require big budgets. What I mean by that is if all the like what if what if was live action, we wouldn't get that this soon. That would
no, we wouldn't.
that would require a lot of money for one, because Tony Stark is one of the primary, which of course they recast the
Hmm.
voice is not that of Robert Downey Jr. Obviously,
Correct.
it's be way too expensive in my if my thought process pans out, is way too expensive. One, you have to think about that. Two, you have to think about getting all those characters in one place again, which you can conveniently do with voiceover acting. It's very convenient. Three, we get endless possibilities, and we get to see another creative side of Marvel and of course DC, and then of course we have tons and tons and tons of content with
Yeah.
those backstories, with alternate
I'm
adventures
at,
and alternate seg. Oh, go ahead, bro.
I'm
Too.
no, I'm gonna ask you this.
Oh,
You said it's canon. You think it's canon.
I think it's canon.
So could you see a possibility, however, what if ends? I don't know if the stories are going to be connected or they're going to be independent. But
Mm-hmm.
say, for instance, the what if stories are connected.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happens at the end of what if,
Leads
could
into
you
Black.
see like,
Mm.
for example, say what if Killmonger is at the end and he becomes Black Panther? I'm hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
Could you see that same character from Killmonger, the animation, become live action in Black Panther 2? Like,
They'd have to explain it how that happened, whether it's
right,
something
in the
that's
multiverse.
irreversible, or something that messed up the way it's not supposed to be. I don't know how they would explain. I don't know how they would explain it, because I'm assuming it'd be two different. Yeah, I don't know how they would explain it, because eventually you'd have to come back and acknowledge the fact that, of course, T'Challa is no longer.
Mm.
Well, Chadwick
I
Boseman
just
is,
use
yeah.
I just use that one as an example.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I got you. I'm just trying to, in my head, trying to poke holes to it. My bad.
for example, like another one, like, you know how we see Tony Stark,
Yeah.
the animation of Tony Stark, like he survives. Say he survives through what if, doesn't get killed in the animation, blah blah blah. Can we see a Tony Stark come out and be in live action in the MCU? Like, I think whatever, I think it's canon, but like you said, I don't know how they're going to explain that. Maybe with the Doctor Strange movie, like, it's definitely one of
The possibilities
those.
are endless, bro.
Yeah, man.
Don't stress yourself out thinking.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you're gonna hurt yourself. Just let it
Kevin
play out.
Feige is ain't
Yeah.
no telling what he's gonna do,
Marvel's
man.
in their bag, my boy. Like,
That
with
that's a fact.
but the bottom line for the What If trailer, it was very emotional. Obviously, we
I
lost an
agree.
icon. Most importantly, his family lost a very dear loved one, which we will never understand as fans, of course. But from a standpoint of what his work across so many different genres of film has done representation wise, and then of course just how talented he was, and it just seemed like he was such a young, very very young, promising career that we're about to see unfold before our eyes. We get to see his last role,
His
which
last one. Yeah.
is going to be it's gonna be emotional. I mean, I can't speak for everybody else. For me, it's definitely gonna be emotional. But at the same time, it's the send off that he needs. Um,
Hmm.
but it's the gift that gives the gift that keeps on giving. Because I had no idea. I knew that there was gonna be a what if series, but I had no idea that there was,
I had
that there was
heard
something that
rumblings.
got done, something that
Yeah,
they
I
were able to
had
get the
rumblings
voices
he
done.
did finish that. Yeah. So
So
man, that's gonna be awesome to see. And like you said, bittersweet, obviously, with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. But yeah, that series will drop August 11th.
mhm.
Excited for that. Of course, Loki season finale will drop this Wednesday on Disney Plus. We'll see how that goes. Going to be a lot of conspiracies and theories about what happens in the finale, but we'll obviously keep you updated and tuned in on all our thoughts on the next episode. And Dane, we'll close out episode 52 with some good news, man.
The good
Man,
news, the good news,
it's
huh?
good news.
The good news.
Zaila Avant Garde.
Yeah. Spelling extraordinaire. Y'all, everybody's old enough to know every once in a while, or not every once, this annually they have a spelling bee competition, and these are some of the brightest child minds across the world show up, and everybody knows what a spelling bee is. They say a word, you spell it, you get it right, you go to the next round. If you don't, you know what I'm saying, you fail. But this particular time, it's very special. It's very special. First African American to win this competition, and it's in existence has been what, close to 100 years, right? The
Yep.
the
I think he
competition
said
itself.
90,
Okay,
96.
I know it's like super close to it. I can't remember the exact number, but I know it's in the history, and we've seen it. I mean, I've obviously seen it. The plenty of gifs and the videos we saw of other kids winning, and it's like, man, that's dope. That's really dope. But to see this black kid from Louisiana win, it was just like that was huge. And the fact that the way that she characterized this particular championship, the particular championship that she got, the way she characterized it, she said this is essentially, in so many words, she said it was a side hustle. Like
Yeah.
this ain't even my main thing. Like, this is just something I do on the side. So let me put it this way: DLT, you working 9 to 5, right? Essentially, yeah.
I do.
You play
Yep.
video games, right?
Yep.
You would consider video games like a little side deal, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's put that in perspective. If you have not done so, please do so. Google or YouTube this young lady's name, and you will see exactly what her main deal. What you will see what her. I've never
Bruh.
seen someone so young with handling and skill like that. But ladies and gentlemen, we might have a basketball prodigy on our hands, because the way that her court vision, the way that she handles the ball, and of course she's obviously a magician, going towards the hole. Like, she's phenomenal. So
Holds 3 Guinness World Records for basketball skills. Like, I'm watching her on this video, and she
yeah,
is on a unicycle dribbling 3 basketballs. And then there's another video. She's juggling and dribbling a basketball at the same time.
eye hand
Then I
coordination.
think she has a world record for the longest time dribbling 5 basketballs at the same time. It's insane.
Yeah,
Zaila Avant Garde, man.
she's
Salute
impressive.
to you.
Shout out to you.
At the age of 13, 14, man, I
She was at the
nowhere
ESPYS
near.
too. She was at the ESPYS too.
At
I
the
seen the
ESPYs,
I seen the clip of her with Anthony Mackie hosting.
Anthony Mackie gave her a shout out because they both from Louisiana.
Yeah.
But man, I don't even know what to say, bro.
Makes me not even want to pick up a basketball again. Just as, like, she's got the tricks down. Like, here I am still looking at the ball as I'm dribbling and stuff, and she doing her thing. So hopefully, my hope is that we'll see a lot more of her within the next
We
5 to
definitely
6
will.
years, bro. Because
She had only been
yeah,
studying words for 2 years, like for the spelling bee.
her brain is just out there, G.
That's insane.
And you see,
That's
like, when
insane.
she spelled the was it
She made the Bill Murray joke.
She's spinning around like
Murray,
she was
yeah.
just so excited, like, to see the joy on
How
that
far?
girl's face. And then right after she finished spelling the words, she's like kind of looking for approval, like, she's like, all right, what's going on? And then she got a signal from somebody, and then she was like, and then just the range
Yeah,
of emotions. It was just cool to see, like a
it
kid
was
at the candy
beautiful.
store, man. So
Beautiful to
shout
see.
out to
Shout
her,
out
man.
to yes, for sure,
Shout out to
man.
her and all the other spelling bee champs. Look, especially you, viewer, and we know you won the spelling bee at your third grade championship, and we didn't get you didn't get no big celebration. You didn't go viral or anything like that. But guess what? We care about you. If you want a
We
spelling
got
bee, like if you want a spelling bee and you want to get your props, just shoot us a DM and we'll make sure to shout you out because you're a winner in our hearts, even if you didn't make it past the
yes.
second round.
That's a fact, man. We'll close it on that one. Episode 52 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. Deonte Epps, Dane Beasley. Make sure you check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast.com. Episode 52. We out.